Over the last 2 years, we saw a raging bull market. Asset prices went to the moon as the Fed stepped in and were dropping monetary stimulus all over the market. But of course, starting in November of last year, the Federal Reserve, they started talking about quantitative tightening. They said they were going to raise interest rates, and they were going to take that persistent bid that they had been presenting to the market. They were going to remove it. All of a sudden, asset prices went into a free fall, and we have just seen down only since November. Bitcoin obviously down about 50%. But it had already gone down 50%. It hit that mark back in January. There was a little bit of a relief rally, Bitcoin going up around $45,000. But here we find ourselves back again in the low 30,000s and Bitcoin 50% off that all-time high of $69,000 back in November. Now, why exactly is this so important? Well, it's because investors are horrible at controlling their emotions. If we take a look at something like the Fear and Greed Index, right now it's showing 11. There's fear everywhere. Now, this is fascinating to think about because at $33,000 to have an 11 on the fear and greed scale means that there's tons and tons of people. They're really nervous. They don't know what that uncertain future looks like. And so naturally, they're capitulating. But the last time that we hit 33,000, when we went on the way up back at the beginning of 2021, the fear and greed index showed massive greed all over the place. Same price, this time fearful, last time greedy. Now, all that tells us is that perception is everything. It's the same asset and it's the same price for the asset. It's all just relative comparisons to where the asset has been and where people think that it's going. Now, ultimately, when things get good, people get overexcited. They tend to think that it's only going to get better. And when things get bad, they tend to get overly scared and they tend to think it's going to get way worse than it actually does. I don't know the future any more than anyone else, but what I do know is that one of the key ingredients to being a great investor over long periods of time is to learn to control your emotions. It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. And as the old saying goes, this too shall pass. Now, ultimately, as we see fear everywhere, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're at the bottom of the market. But what it does tell us is that usually, if you go ahead and you buy assets when everyone else is fearful, and they're good assets, and they're assets that you can hold for decades to come, it usually has a great payoff along with it. Now, naturally, being a contrarian is hard. Humans are sheep. They go with the crowd. Right now, the crowd is telling you Bitcoin, stocks, and other assets, they're going down forever. I don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen. I don't try to time markets, but what I do know is if you can find those great assets and you can hold them for a long period of time, the more people get fearful, the better off you're probably going to be if you've got cash and liquidity and you start to buy in the market. It'll be fascinating to see how the future plays out. The fear index at 11, that's pretty damn low. So let's see what happens. But ultimately, when there's blood in the streets, it's usually a good time to start getting excited.